Yeah, thanks, Betsy, and yeah, thanks for putting me as the last speaker of the day. But I am mostly thankful that I came. I was initially when I first heard of the event through a colleague, it was sort of pitched as a virtual conference. I just had seen it come through my email, and we had our first discussion with Dylan and the other panelists, and then I quickly realized it was actually an in-person event, and I was going to be a virtual person coming in on the panel, and I don't think the day would have been obviously not even close to as impactful as it has been being in person. And I've learned a lot. My only regret is that you sit at one table, and yes, we were able to move over to another table, but you only get to talk to so many people throughout the day. So hearing the different panels, the different discussions, the conversations that have been had, I think for me as someone who works in policy, and yes, I do work for the federal government in policy, to really listen to the stories, and the Bella Bella story has been quite impactful to me because I've heard about it from a few different perspectives today, and to hear about these initiatives that are happening in communities, I think is great, and I think really builds to the overall narrative that hopefully that we'll see continue to filter through the country in terms of the work that is ahead of us, but the good progress that is being made. One of the things that really stands out to me today, and I won't recap kind of everything I've learned because it's been a lot, but I think one of the initial comments that was made was around GHGs, and GHGs not being necessarily the right sort of focal point in terms of the task that is ahead of us. And I will admit that is the narrative really, like largely from the federal perspective, when we roll up kind of the task ahead of us in the built environment, and that connection to the government's climate agenda is it always does seem to come down to the number of megatons and greenhouse gas emission reductions that are required in order to reach our international goals and targets. So that really has been kind of overall the sort of the macro kind of focus that we do put in terms of okay, well, what is the overall result that we're going to achieve through that? And certainly that's not really been obviously not been the focus of the conversation here today. Well, I guess what I would say from a federal standpoint, and as we look to the challenge ahead, and certainly in the built environment, which is a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, is it does bring in Ottawa kind of a prominence to the file as well too, because it is such a significant contributor that I hope that it does continue to to remain there in terms of the focus that we place on it, and sort of the new programming that does come into effect, and hopefully, and I think we've seen certainly with the programs that are in effect now that it really that focus is there, and that's kind of what I will focus my comments on today. And I know we are at 4:45, so I will try to go. Maybe a preamble of that length wasn't necessary, but I did want to bring a bit of context into the day, because it really has meant a lot to me to be here and to have good conversations at our tables, and to see colleagues that I had met before, but really only on screen, and meet a whole bunch of new ones. So I look forward to engaging going forward. So what I will focus on is maybe a bit of the things that we're already doing and implementing right now, maybe just to touch on it, and a little bit about what's currently in the works right now, and what we hope to come forward with in the coming months. So certainly from the initiatives that are currently in play, and I think budget, federal budget, Government of Canada budget 2022 was a big one in terms of the built environment. We put almost $600 million into a variety of different programs. Those programs we're at actually a very exciting moment for a number of those programs right now, and that calls for proposals have been launched and out there. We've already had one that's closed, and a couple more that I'll speak to now that are going to be closing this month, that hopefully will lay a foundation for some really great work ahead. Two of those are in the mass retrofit space, so our Deep Retrofit Accelerator Initiative, as well as our Greener Neighborhoods pilot program, which builds on the Dutch Energy Sprong model. Two different initiatives, but two that are quite closely connected. The Deep Retrofit Initiative focusing on sort of a concierge model, much bigger potential projects that really would hope to sort of enable mass retrofits across Canada. That proposal, or those proposals are coming in now. It closes this month, and we really, through a multi-million-dollar initiative, we really hope to see some pretty groundbreaking ideas that would really the money seems like a lot, but it is necessarily never really enough in terms of what is required and the scale of the challenge ahead. But that combined with a much more community level, energy sprung, we call it the Greener Neighborhoods pilot program. Hopefully the combination of those two, and certainly I like it from the pilot perspective, where we'll try to see potential community mass retrofits in 6 different communities across Canada to really sort of bring some prominence to the potential for that model and really to accelerate that pace of deep retrofits. A program that has recently launched is our off-oil heat pump program, which is a $250 million program focused on low and medium income Canadians. It is an offshoot of our Greener Homes program, which I know many of you, we've talked about this a number of times today. I've talked about the challenges associated with that program many times today as well too. And that program, the big program, the Greener Homes program, where it does offer $5,000 to households to do energy efficiency upgrades following an energy assessment, energy audit of that home. The intent of the new program is to combine that $5,000 with another $5,000 for low and medium income Canadians who heat their homes on oil to enable that transition to heat pumps, and with the intent to combine that with other streams of funding, such as programs that already exist provincially, and hopefully get people very close to that full cost of installing a heat pump in their homes. That program really had a strong affordability perspective to it. I think you very quickly, when you look at certainly the cost of heating homes, Atlantic Canada will be a big recipient of this program. The cost difference between heating with a heat pump and heating on oil is just a staggering difference, and I think that hopefully a program such as that will really bring some relief to Canadians who are really struggling with heating bills, but also to do so in a way that really will help with our overall climate objectives and really to create more efficient, more resilient homes. I have a minute. Perfect. Moving on to the next one then. So what I will talk about really quickly is our big flagship initiative that we're working on going forward. So is our Canada Green Building Strategy. We've been engaging on this for the last 6 months. We really think this strategy, is going to be kind of that, I guess I want to say the start of a dialogue towards what is needed to get our built environment to net zero by 2050, to meet shorter term goals, to enable that combination of incentives and regulation, to meet Canadians where they are at, to develop decarbonization pathways for communities across Canada, to hopefully accelerate with the 3 objectives of the strategy, to accelerate the rate of retrofits, to build net zero homes from the beginning, and to transform space and water heating as sort of the 3 core objectives. We have been talking to people across Canada, provincial governments, city governments, industry, Indigenous communities in particular as well, to really determine what the needs are. And those challenges are significant. It is going to require significant investment. It is going to require a national strategy and not a federal strategy. Maybe that's the point I should kind of close on, because really in order to meet this challenge ahead of us and to create a built environment that is resilient, that is carbon neutral, that gives us, comfortable conditions to live in for the future and for years to come, it is going to require a national effort, and for governments and industry and communities across Canada to come together and to see the great examples of the work that's undergoing right now is really positive. And we know the challenge ahead of us is big, and we look forward to continuing to work together to get there. So thank you.